Ask an algo. Oh, I was so excited. Ask an algo dev.
Ooh, all right. How does this open? What is an algorithm developer?
What is an algorithm developer? I guess an algorithm developer is someone who works to develop and deploy trading strategies at HRT. So we own the whole pipeline from like finding cool data sources to like fitting models and then hopefully trading on them.
It involves applying a lot of structure to like these unstructured problems that have a lot of different moving parts. It involves a good amount of time spent writing code, writing software at a level that's pretty, I think, impressive. At least I'm impressed with my coworkers.
Algorithm developers are like ultimately responsible for like deciding when to buy and sell. We're doing automated trading, and it's kind of our job to think about like the predictive models and the trading strategies that like underlie kind of like how we buy low and sell high. Kind of like what is the core of the strategy, what is the trade, and then how do we make the trade like smarter?
I think that the title is kind of like no one description captures everything. Some people specialize a lot more in engineering or in like research or like stats or math. But generally speaking, I think like algo developers are people who are strong problem solvers and pretty curious people by nature, I guess.
We got a good thing going here. I might just keep asking the questions.
Here, let me ask
All right,
one.
these are great answers though.
What time horizons do our teams work on?
So Chris and I both are on the sort of like higher speed, lower latency side of what HRT does, but we trade all sorts of time horizons from shorter to longer.
When I heard about the company in uni, I had the impression that it was like all like really fast, like short-term horizon stuff. And then like after joining the company, it's like definitely like not true. Like I was surprised to see like how many other things that HRT is doing beyond just like the short frequency.
HRT has teams that work on every time horizon you can think of. And I think we take all of them pretty seriously and are putting in a lot of effort to really improve our trading in all those axes.
Okay, wait, can we answer this? What do we trade?
Everything, everywhere, all at once. That's trademarked.
At HRT, we trade lots of different asset classes, and asset class is just like a jargon word that means a category of thing you can trade. So like the canonical example we always go back to is stocks. These are things that most people have heard of. You can just like buy shares of Ford or Apple or whatever. Futures, cryptocurrencies, derivatives, FX.
I think like if there's volume, we probably trade it, yeah.
Yep. Hey, oh.
Nice. Nice. That was tough.
Oh, scary. What is the most interesting part of your job?
Ooh, most interesting part of my job. So my main role is to like make sure we're working on the right problems that will best improve the like profitability and like success of our trading strategies. And I think that's super, super interesting to me.
Broadly, like I'm doing so much learning in such like a short amount of time, and I really enjoy that. Like whether it's like actually like learning something, going to the talk, like asking someone questions, like reading wikis, or like that has been really, really fun because I actually really just enjoy learning new things. And I think a lot of my best questions have been prefaced with, I feel like this is a stupid question, but, and then ends up being not a stupid question.
Yeah, they're usually the ones that you are afraid are stupid are like the best questions.
Yeah.
Probably reading the code base. I've only read like a small fraction of the code. And I think that joining HRT in, 2024, is like entering just a massive ecosystem of research tools, trading strategies, trading algorithms, core infrastructure that sort of keeps everything working. And it's incredibly intricate and interesting.
I think one thing that really surprised me about trading was the human aspect of it. It's just been really interesting to like really feel that this job that is so like quantitative and numeric is also driven by humans making decisions and like real economic choices. So very surprising for me.
For me, the most interesting part of my job is kind of interacting with, I guess, like everyone else at the firm. HRT hires some of the most like smart and brilliant people around the world. And so Because of our open culture, you can kind of read anything that anyone researches and kind of like talk about with them the results or join any meeting that kind of interests you. Work never gets boring because I think that someone always has like a new, cool and exciting idea, and learning about that is pretty fun. Yeah. What's the technical culture like at HRT?
HRT prioritizes code quality, I think, at a really high level. We should have like code that is open to as many people as possible across the entire firm. And kind of what that means is that, that's obviously only useful if the code you write is good and readable and like actually it means something for other people to be able to see it, that they can like incorporate this new stuff into their own work.
We try really hard to make it easy for different people to like be able to access different parts of information around the entire code base.
We are a lot of software engineers, a lot of researchers, and in just about every team, every department, most people are actually quite technical. We take code reviews really seriously as like an opportunity to kind of like teach each other, point each other out, like best practices, libraries that we didn't know existed, just kind of other ways to like share and then level ourselves up.
I would say that like generally our culture is very learning and teaching centric. I think like one of the things that stands out to me most about people at HRT is how much they love to teach. So many people taught like math clubs when they were in high school, or like tutored kids, and I think that still like really shows in our culture, where if you want to learn something technical, there's always someone there who's really excited to teach it to you.
There's a saying that, or like a joke that people have here where it's like, we're just like a tech company that happens to trade rather than being a trading company. And I kind of agree with that. When I worked at some other places, I found that like I was like the best programmer I was on like day one, and then like each day I kind of, got a little bit worse. I'm definitely still learning here every day. I think that's like definitely just like credit to the strong technical like strength of, I guess, like HRT. That pays off in a lot of different forms. I think that you're able to like experiment and research and like iterate so much faster than at any other place I could really imagine. So for that, yeah, I'm pretty grateful on a like everyday basis.
Did you join HRT with knowledge around finance, markets, or trading?
Yeah, I would say that the internship was how I sort of learned about finance and trading. There are some brilliant and highly performant members of like my tadpole class that came in with zero finance industry experience, and they're killing it.
Can you also explain what you mean by tadpole?
Tadpoles is an HRT term for new hires that like haven't been placed on teams yet. And I hear it comes from, I guess in one of the old offices, there was like a big sort of glass-walled room. The new hires were sort of in a fishbowl of sorts. And I guess they were dubbed tadpoles. That's like third hand, it could be fully made up, yeah.
I joined as an intern, and like one of my mentors was like, do you know what a stock is? And I was like, yeah, it's like you buy a part of like a company. And he's like, oh, like what does that mean? I was like, yeah, no idea. Like in my head, it was just like I don't know like anything about like how it settles, like what it means to own a part of a company. Like I didn't know any of that. Yeah, it's been a long journey, but like now hopefully I know more about trading. Yeah.
I've been kind of co-running our algo dev new hire training for the last like couple of years, and it's been like pretty great to work with like a lot of really smart people who get like math and programming and data analysis, but maybe don't know what the difference between an order and a trade is, and kind of like start from there and get them to being able to like produce like useful quantitative research models. It's been pretty cool. Finance industry knowledge, not useful on day one, but just generally strong research skills, the ability to run a hypothesis test, understand regression, being able to like write and reason about and debug your own code. These are kind of like critical things that will like have you like up to speed on day one. Next question.
What has been the most unexpected part of being an algo dev? I think one of the biggest myths is that you're writing a lot of algorithms like breadth first search and such. I think that most of what we do is like data science and coding and statistics, and there's less like pure computer algorithms than I expected.
I agree.
like I came into this field like not knowing anything about like finance or quant or anything, and like so I came into this job actually like really anxious about like I was like, oh my god, am I working enough? Like am I like I remember talking to Liz about this like one day, but I was like oh no, I feel like I'm like not working enough, and then my boss like sat me down and was like, Chris, like we're not like in this for like a sprint, this is a marathon, like take care of yourself.
I joined from a different trading company, and at the previous place I was at and several other places, they like talked up their culture of collaboration. HRT actually meant that, and like people here actually do collaborate a whole lot. Everybody's just like super open with information, and I felt like I could contribute so much more so effectively, just like because everybody was so open and because there was like so much collaboration, and that surprised me a lot.
We made it. What advice would you give a young version of yourself stepping into this role?
That's funny because I just stepped into this role myself.
Think back like 2 seconds and then give advice.
I'd kind of just say be as curious as possible. I think that part of this role is kind of like researching and asking good questions. So getting an early start on that is like as beneficial as possible. So if you're getting lunch, feel free to talk to more people outside of your own team. Things like that are just like good practice to have in the long run. Yeah.
It's easy to get very intimidated by like how smart and how qualified like everybody else here is. And I think that like a large number of people here probably like just feel intimidated by like each other. And so like my advice to my younger self is like be more self-confident, be less afraid of asking questions.
I kind of wish I had found more opportunities in college to like scrap with open problems. And it's a skill you'll build here if you don't already have it. I've mostly built that skill like at HRT, but it's a valuable one. And so if you can get started early, that's pretty great.
Really not take the openness of the code base and the willingness of people to teach for granted. I would say to just like spend a lot of time exploring all the knowledge that HRT has accumulated. But yeah, I feel like I still am the young version of myself.
There are no